Welcome back, guys. This is episode 8, and this is the episode we're going to be talking about self-image. So we touched on this last episode when we talked about belief. So why don't you give us some examples of, first of all, define what is our self-image, and let's start there. What is our self-image?
Yeah, your self-image is your perception of yourself. Now, we have two self-images. We have two images of ourselves. One is the image that we put out to the world. So maybe the image that I put out is that I'm incredibly outgoing and fun and loud. But my image of myself is that I'm actually very quiet and introverted. So
what is your image?
That I'm quiet and introverted.
Yeah, but you show everyone you're loud and bubbly and happy. That is totally you. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you think I show that I'm loud and bubbly?
Yeah, when we're out, I think so. But you always say you're like a self-proclaimed introvert, and I tell people, and they're like, what? Your wife's not an introvert? Because that's not the image you show them.
So there you go. So the image that I have of myself is that I'm extremely quiet and introverted. Maxwell Maltz, we cannot talk about self-image without talking about Maxwell Maltz, because he was a plastic surgeon who in the 60s wrote one of the most fundamentally profound books on self-image. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. And what he saw in his practice was that people would come to him with all kinds of complaints. Let's say they had a bump on their nose, and he would correct the bump on their nose. Mm-hmm. They would come out one of two ways. He had the clients that came out feeling so amazing about themselves, and they felt like they could take on the world. But then he also had the clients that no matter what he did to them, they still felt the same. Maybe they still felt like their nose didn't look good, or they still had a perception of themselves that they weren't attractive, or whatever it may be. So he really wanted to study that, because he wanted to understand, what is it about these people that make them so different in how they see themselves? And what he realized is that this is all comes down to the self-image. And then in fact, your brain it's like a self-seeking missile, meaning that whatever it is that you perceive of yourself, your brain will actually act in a way to confirm that. We talked a little bit about this on our last show, where we said, whatever it is that you believe in yourself or what you're capable of, those are the results that you will get. And in fact, that's what he found to be true.
What do you mean by, like, it's you're a heat-seeking missile? What does that mean?
Yes, it means that your brain, when you give it whatever goal you give it, or when you have whatever perception you have, it will autocorrect. It will work on a subconscious level, and you will actually display the actions and the behaviors that will always take you back to the same place. And that place is determined by your self-image. So if you are the person who believes that they're not smart and they're never going to get ahead in their job, you can have a really fantastic year where you make $20,000 over what you're used to making, but the following year, you're going to go right back down. You're going to always maintain that status quo, because your brain is always going to take you back to that same place. So until you are able to change your image of yourself and what you are capable of, you are never going to get the results that you want to get.
So what you're saying is our minds operate like the computer system in a missile.
Yeah.
When a missile goes off track,
it'll self-correct.
It brings itself back on course.
Yes.
By that mechanism.
Yeah, or like a thermostat.
Cybernetic mechanism is what we have in our mind.
Yeah.
And that's our self-image. That is that cybernetic mechanism that auto-corrects and brings us back always to that course. Yeah. Like a missile is on course to its target, our self-image keeps us on course to that image.
Yeah. Yeah, or like a thermostat. When you open the door and all of a sudden your house becomes really cold, you don't have to go and rewire the temperature. Your thermostat will kick on, and it will always bring your house back to the same temperature, no matter what is happening outside.
And how does that relate to us?
Well, because our brains will do the same thing with us. They will bring us back to whatever it is that our self-image believes. It all goes back to the belief. Mm-hmm. So in his book, this is a really great book. I really recommend it to everybody. There's a great audiobook. It's 10 hours. I listen to it on repeat. It's a very easy read, and he gives a lot of case studies. But what he always comes back to is the idea that in order to have success, more than the actual process of seeking out the success, you have to become the person who identifies with the identity of being a successful person. Mm-hmm. It's the identity that creates the results.
Okay. I mean, so our self-image is something that's, I guess, arguably automatic.
Yes.
And it controls our results. It can have a major impact in controlling what we get out of life.
Yeah, and the thing with the self-image, and we talk a lot about paradigms. Paradigms tie into our self-image because our self-image is actually programmed into us by the way that our parents talk to us and see us and the results that we got as small kids, right? This is why your environment and how you grew up plays a huge part in your self-image, because if you were constantly told as a child that, you're not very smart and you're not going to amount to anything, well, guess what? Guess what you're going to think of yourself as a teenager and as an adult? You're going to think that you're probably not very smart, right? So much of our self-image we are not aware of because it was a series of decades sometimes of programming based on feedback from people and circumstances that we experienced.
Mm-hmm. I think most of our lives are impacted by the external and how we see ourselves and what we put out to the world based on that has been given to us by other people, right? The school system, like you said, our parents, the media, society, the government, everything in the environment that we live in tells us who we are, what we're capable of, and how we should feel for the most of our lives. And I think a lot of people never experience anything other than that. And so self-image is extremely important in getting results. What can you do to improve your self-image?
Oh my gosh, there's so much that you can do. First of all, you need to know and acknowledge and believe that self-image is something that can be altered. So the way that you see yourself today, even if every single result you've ever had in your life confirmed whatever it is that you think about, I'm not meant to be successful. Well, look, the last 10 jobs that I had, I got fired and I got called into the office and I got suspended. So I'm not very good. No, doesn't matter. That also is tied to your self-image, right? Your self-image brings your results. So first you have to know that your self-image can be changed. Next, this is almost like a muscle that you need to start to flex. You need to start reprogramming your image of yourself. So what do I mean by reprogramming? Well, if I think that I'm not very smart, and if I think that I'm not very good at math, a really great starting point is for me to tell myself all day long, I'm smart and I'm great at math. I'm going to write it down. It sounds so silly and people roll their eyes. When I had anxiety, so this is a good example. I'll use myself as an example. My image of myself was as somebody who has anxiety. So I had the image that I'm probably not going to be very happy.
And you used to say that.
And I would say that. Mm-hmm. I'm probably never going to be somebody that experiences joy. And I really believed in that. So when I decided that that's not how I'm willing to accept life, I began to go to bed every single night with I am affirmations from YouTube.
What's an I am affirmation?
An I am affirmation is, so you can write this down, you can say it to yourself, or you can find audios or visuals as well on YouTube. And it literally is statements. Mm-hmm. I am smart. I am successful. For me, it was I am calm. I am peaceful. I'm safe because I had anxiety. So everything was towards anxiety relief and health. Mm-hmm. So if for the person who's not very good at their job or doesn't feel smart, you would be listening to, I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm strong. I'm successful, whatever it is. So when you are listening to it, people, and I did this too, I rolled my eyes every time that I listened to it and I would have it on and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that I was safe and calm and peaceful and that I had no anxiety. I didn't, but I listened to it.
Because at the time you did.
Because at the time, that's right. At the time I did have anxiety. So I would listen to it anyways, because the beautiful thing is your subconscious will accept anything that you tell it. So when you give it a message repeatedly over a series of days, weeks, and sometimes months, your brain, your subconscious will start to accept what you tell it.
Definitely over months. Repetition takes time.
Repetition takes time.
Yeah. Like this stuff does not happen overnight.
Yeah.
Right? Like our personal development journeys have been years and nothing happens in a day or two. So this is something I just want to say, like, if you're thinking, okay, I have a poor self-image, I want to change it. I'm listening to what Tamar's saying. Okay, I'm going to start I am affirmations. Maybe in a week from now, things will be a lot better. It's going to take a commitment for an extended period, if not the rest of your life. Yeah. And, you know, we both do I am affirmations, and I every single morning, I don't miss them. I do mine and I listen and I say them out loud, and I have a YouTube recording that says the I am affirmation, and then there's a pause where I can then repeat it back. And it's the exercise of saying it out loud, because our words are so incredibly powerful. Mm-hmm. And that belief, and when you drive into that belief that I am capable, I am infinitely capable. And when you say that every day, every single day, you start to believe it. And you may not believe it, like you said in the beginning, because it may not be where you are in life at that moment. But eventually it sinks into the subconscious and you do believe it. And I think that takes a lot of time, and it takes repetition and consistency.
For me, just to put it into perspective, I gave myself a year.
Yeah.
I gave myself a year to get over my anxiety and find a way to feel differently.
And how did that go?
In fact, in reality, it took a lot less time. Within 4 to 5 months, you and I were able to start going for coffee, short coffee dates. I didn't want to
barely leave the house and barely walk.
Yeah, I had agoraphobia. So for those of you who know what that is, it's a fear of being outside of your home. God forbid if I saw a neighbor or saw somebody that I knew and had to stop and talk. I mean, I would just feel like I was going to die, literally. I had a very physical reaction to my anxiety, which is why I gave myself a year, because I knew that I would really need to get serious, and it would become my full-time job to understand my brain and body and ways in which I could interrupt that automatic circuit of constant anxiety.
And I am affirmations and changing your self-image was a huge part of that journey.
Yes, I had to begin to trust in myself. Mm-hmm. I had to begin to trust in my body. I had to begin to trust in the world around me. And I really had to believe that it was possible for me to overcome my anxiety, even in the moments where I didn't think it was possible. I still had to have the belief that there was a chance. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a good distinction to make, is sometimes you don't need to have that full belief. Sometimes just having the belief that it could happen is enough to keep you going. Because if you're in a really low place, or you're starting to try to reprogram a really deep-rooted thing about yourself that you think is never going to change, or maybe you think this is just part of who I am, those little, I don't want to call them issues, but those little personality traits or character traits, you don't even have to have the belief 1000% that you're going to change it, but you have to believe that it's possible. Mm-hmm. Because if you believe that it's possible, then you will allow space for that reprogramming and for those suggestions to kick in. So for me, I can tell you that in the beginning, you're right. I didn't necessarily believe that I was safe or I was peaceful, because I wasn't. I was still in the anxiety, but I believed that it was possible to overcome. And that belief carried me so far. And I went to bed. I still go to bed every single night, by the way, with I am affirmations. Now they've changed. Now they're not about my body being safe. Now they're about abundance and success and gratitude and joy. I mean, I've completely evolved as a human being. And with that, my self-image has evolved as well.
I mean, that's remarkable, especially from where I know you were, because you were you were hospitalized, but your self-image was extremely low. And you did not think, and you would say, I don't think I'll ever be someone who's happy.
Yeah.
And I would say to you, that's complete garbage.
Yeah, I know.
Like, no one's going to live the rest of their life just unhappy. Like, and I would say back then, and you would hate it, and I'd say happiness is a choice.
Oh, I know.
And you would die.
I wanted to murder you.
You wanted to murder me.
Like, you don't get it.
Yeah. But, and when you were in that space, it was very hard to hear. But now, on the other side of it, we do realize that that is a choice. You know, once we work through the self-image,
yes,
we can actually see the world and actually every single day with our conscious thought, pick and choose what we focus on, right? And we can focus on the things in life that are hard and sad and stressful, and we can feel that and we can sit in that, and that will be our existence. Or we can choose the positive, and we can choose to think about the future and the things that are possible, mm-hmm. and the beautiful things, and then have gratitude for what already is and the abundance that we already have in life. And what a beautiful way to live on that side of it, which I truly do still believe to this day is a choice. The only thing is, back then, even though you would want to choose to be happy, we mm-hmm. didn't have the tools to do it.
No. And the choice doesn't even need to be to go from sad, anxious, worried to happy. The choice is actually to work on, mm-hmm. to work towards, to work through, right? I think that what was probably frustrating for me at the time where I was, since I was in such a low place, the idea of going from where I was to just becoming happy. Okay, today I'm going to choose to be happy. It just wasn't in the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, but it seems like a big gap when you're there.
It seems like a very big gap. So the choice that sometimes you make when something is a huge change that you need to make, the choice isn't to go from A to B. The choice is to take that step towards. Mm-hmm. The choice is just to get a little bit better than you were the day before. It's like the rule of 1%. If you can get 1% better every single day, guess what? In a year, you're going to, like Bob Proctor says, you're going to need a telescope to look back and see how far you've come.
Which we need.
We both need we already need. 100%.
Which is such a blessing. 100%.
Yeah. And I can go even further, having really been one way for my whole life and then completely now being a different way. Things that I thought were part of my DNA, part of my personality, being high strung, mm-hmm. being a worrier, being somebody who gets easily stressed. Those are not things that I actually even thought I could change. I was trying to address the anxiety piece.
Yeah, but you thought those were things that you were, not just stories you've been told.
Yes. I thought that those were part of my genetics. Mm-hmm. My dad is a worrier. My dad is really high strung. I'm a worrier. I'm high strung. I'm similar to him in that way because that's my personality. And I realized it's not.
That was just a really low self-image.
It was my self-image of myself and also my image of the world around me. Mm-hmm. The way that I perceived the world was that it was a scary place and that it was a place that was not safe. Mm-hmm. And I realized, in this journey that the things that are going to happen that are going to cause you those worries and those heartaches, they're not going to be the things that you expect anyway. Mm-hmm. So when you spend your whole life worrying and uptight and high strung because you're worried about things that are going to happen, the things that you worry about don't happen. And the things that do happen, you could have never predicted anyway. Right. And so the choice that I made in the beginning was to look at the world in a different way. Now it's not a choice I make. It's just who I am.
Amazing.
So for anybody who thinks that they are stuck in their ways or they've been so beaten down that they're not going to be able to find joy, for example, or that the results have been that they are this or that, or even things that people really think. There's a lot of people that really want to hold on to pieces of their personality because it's an easier default.
I also think that they hang on, and we as humans hang on to the past.
We get addicted to it.
Yeah, and I think at least something that I've learned in this journey is that we identify with and hold on to certain stories from the past. And it's not until we completely let go of all of that and we stop living from the past and we start really falling in love with and living from the future and the present. right? And our self-image is really key to that, because if you have a low self-image and you're thinking about all the past hurts and the past pains and all the struggles from the past, your self-image is really directly tied to the results that you've been getting in life, and it's not going to be good, right? And so I think, I am affirmations are a great way to help someone with a low self-image, but I think there also needs to come with the recognition from the very, very early stages that, number one, if you have a low self-image, you can change it, but also that you were created to be the best version of yourself. So if you don't feel like the best version of yourself, if you don't feel like every day you get out of bed and go, I am so happy and grateful to be alive, I love the life that I'm living, then you're not living the best version of yourself, but you are absolutely capable. And too often we tell ourselves, well, I haven't achieved this, so I can't achieve this, right? We're certainly telling ourselves, and we've lived this way our entire lives until personal development, we become victims of our circumstance, right? So every time we think, well, I could never have $10 million in real estate because I've never bought real estate, so I could never do that. And that's the self-image saying, that's not who you are. You can't do that. And it's going to autocorrect those thoughts back to your actions, right? And so if you can come, and I think from a very fundamental, basic first step in, say to yourself, I will change my self-image. I am capable of doing anything. I can be, and I am amazing. And if you can start from that and know that that is true, and everyone should know that that is true. Like, understand that you are a beautifully made, perfectly made by your creator human being, and that you can be an abundant, loving, helpful, fulfilled human being in this lifetime if you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So start from that.
Yeah, we become addicted not even just to thoughts of our past, but we get addicted to the feelings of our past, because our past feelings, they become our comfort, and they become the safe place because we like what's familiar. And I don't think we can even have a conversation about self-image without talking about Joe Dispenza, because he will tell you that your personality creates your personal reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that in fact, when you have a really low self-image, or maybe you're still stuck in some sort of trauma or something negative, those are actually huge impacts on the genes that express themselves in your body. So this goes down to a cellular level, where having a poor self-image, being stuck in a negative space, being stuck addicted to the feelings of the trauma that happened 10 years ago, that will actually create disease in your body. That will actually cause the genes that carry disease to be the ones that express themselves. But on the flip side, your cells regenerate so quickly that when you have a better self-image, when you're able to live in the now and not worry about the past or the future, when you're able to really tap into your gratitude and into the present moment and into meditation and slowing your brain down and really just becoming grounded and peaceful, the genes that express themselves in those situations create health and wellness and can actually contribute to feelings of joy. So we're not even just talking about self-image on a how do you feel type of level. We're actually talking about your self-image as a catalyst to good or bad health.
Well, you said it, because the way that you see yourself, the way that we think in our thoughts, if we're thinking about ourselves in a negative way, we talked about this last episode, that our thoughts affect how we feel.
Yeah.
Chemically, we feel differently. So if you think positively and have a positive self-image, you are going to be releasing dopamine. You're going to be releasing feel-good hormones, and your body on a cellular level is going to be healthy. It's going to feel good, and you can actually create wellness in your body. And Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time. You can actually heal the cells in your body through the power of your thoughts, which is an incredible thing. But I want to touch on one thing you said. Self-image is very, very, very tied to how we feel, and it controls how we feel. But oftentimes, I think people are feeling hurt and have trauma, and the feeling is what that dictates their self-image. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this in our program, people who come to a personal development program who come with trauma. Mm-hmm. So I want to say, like, personal development is an amazing, life-changing, if you allow it to be, path and journey. Mm-hmm. But it is only possible once you've come out the other side of trauma. Because it's not possible for your self-image to go, I am capable of amazing things and helping other people, if you're still battling trauma.
Yes. Your trauma will keep you stuck. Mm-hmm. So for the people who get into any type of coaching program and they're able to leave the past in the past and move on, do that. Mm-hmm. However, in certain cases, for certain people, that trauma will continue to sit there and weigh on you. And you will not be able to tap into abundance and gratitude and joy and happiness until you're able to sit with your trauma. For some people, they don't even realize that they have it, right? And so if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling anxiety, anxiety is not a feeling. Anxiety is your message that there's a different feeling underlying. Sadness, resentment, anger, whatever it is. Sit with that. Get to the root of what that is. Let your trauma out. Give it a voice. Because when you overcome whatever it is that you need to and you let it go, then you're able to really become anything that you want to become. Mm-hmm. So that was an important thing that you said, because I can tell you in my case, having gone through a few traumatic experiences, which triggered the anxiety and the panic disorder, when I tried to suppress, my physical symptoms only got stronger. And in fact, they completely broke down my body until I had no choice but to start at the very bottom. And it was in the process during the time that I was doing the I Am Affirmations and studying about my brain and body, I was also confronting all of my traumas. I was sitting with them. People think it's funny when I tell them to do this, but I would schedule my breakdowns. I would say tomorrow at 9 a.m., Matt's at work, the kids are at camp or with my parents. I will allow all of the feelings to come out. I will purge them. I will let myself feel all of the pain that I've been trying to not feel. I'm going to write out all of the things that are horrible, that I'm so angry that happened to me. And I'm going to let it out. And guess what? Your brain, once you do that several times, it kind of goes, okay, you know what? To put it in a really crude way, your brain almost becomes bored of it. Mm-hmm. When you're able to sit with your feelings and give them a voice and acknowledge them, in time, it dissipates like anything.
And I want to say, like, it's amazing that you were able to do that. For anyone listening, we are not psychologists.
No.
We are not doctors.
No.
We are only sharing our story. And thank God Tamar was able to get over her anxiety, work past, and heal. I think the big word there is heal. Yeah. I also have experienced trauma in my life.
Yeah.
PTSD from life and work and certain things. But I think for me, it's not overcoming, it's healing from. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you are going through something, I think the biggest thing is to reach out and get help from a professional so that you can heal first. And that's something that you were able to do with professional help as well. It wasn't just from your own way of changing how you thought.
Yes.
So if you are going through anything traumatic, I think the key is that you need to seek professional help. You need a network of support. Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do it alone.
And truly heal from it before you begin a personal development journey.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And thank you for saying that. Definitely, this is not in any way medical advice. No. This isn't even advice. This is only my personal experience. And yes, the tools that I used to overcome my anxiety were tools that I learned from professionals. Mm-hmm. This is not just stuff that I came up with and decided to try, and all of a sudden I felt amazing. No, I poured my heart and soul into learning everything that I need to know from the people who know.
From the experts.
From the experts. And I was able to try on myself and figure out what works and doesn't work for me. So anything that I say, this is not advice for anybody else on how to handle their situation similarly. It's only my experience and how I actually got over it. And really the main reason I brought this up is to say that I am affirmations are very powerful.
Extremely.
And even when you don't think they're working, it's like they don't work until they do. You don't know that it's working until one day you realize that you do think differently.
And I'll say this, great point, because understanding the mind, we understand now that we have two pieces of our mind. We have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And the reason that works, the reason I am affirmations work when you don't realize that they are, is because you're actually impressing those thoughts into your subconscious every single day on repeat. And when you do that, your subconscious has no ability to reject those thoughts. So when you say every day, I am so powerful and I am so healthy and I'm so capable and I'm so smart and I make great business decisions, eventually your subconscious is like, okay, this is what we are. This is who I am. I am that. I am. He tells me every day I am, so I am.
Yeah, your logical brain is like, get bent.
Yeah, but your subconscious has no ability to reject, and everything you impress upon it, it accepts. So that's truly where scientifically how it works. You impress those thoughts and those images and those affirmations into your subconscious to change your self-image.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, super powerful.
That's a good spot to wrap it up.
I think so. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on this journey for personal development with us guys and talking about self-image.
Oh, I thought you were thanking me.
And thank you for being so open and sharing your journey. Thank you so much. Catch us on the next one.